main aim of the Youth Injection Prevention Project, the YIP project, was to identify what the youth perceived prevented them in the here and now from injecting, what the supports were, the necessary supports were that could stop that. Youth who are street involved report frequently being offered drugs for injection, but we know that they're not injecting those drugs. So what is it that prevents them from doing so? To explore this area, we realised we needed to perform interviews and also focus groups. And who better to facilitate a focus group than youth themselves, youth who had experience with living on the streets and potentially with using drugs.
The way the ladder works is that there are 8 rungs, and the lower rungs signify non-participatory action, things such as tokenization of youth and manipulation of youth. And then you climb the ladder and you end up with participation, things such as youth being consulted, youth initiating things on their own, making their decisions.
When we received all of the applications and we looked through them, we decided that it would be best to hire mostly experiential youth, which they are.
In one way, we were looking at personalities and whether we thought these people had the drive and the ambition to do something more with their lives in terms of learning and then executing some of the things that they learned. So as much as we were teaching them and getting them to fully understand what we wanted, they were teaching us and getting us to fully understand what their needs were as well.
You do need to be, well trained because there's lots of sensitive information.
We trained vigorously when we first started. We trained about once a week, and then we were told that we would move on to the focus groups, and we weren't ready. So we asked for more, and we got more. We did lots. We visited about 10, I can think of. Some of them provided services specifically to Aboriginal youth, some were for addictions, all ages, some of them for gay and lesbian, bisexual community, and for homeless youth, and shelters. I have accessed about 80% of them, so it was kind of awkward going there in a different perspective. Just going up to them and going, "Hey, where have you been?"
For team building, we did a lot of stuff just to sort of get to know each other and become like a stronger team. Like for instance, around Christmas time, we all got together, we went bowling. I think in especially like a situation like this, that if we're going to be all working together, then team building exercises are like really, really important.
Team building exercises were particularly important in the beginning of the project. It was a time when we really got to know the youth, their qualities and also the challenges they were facing in their life, and that was critical.
So the youth were trained to facilitate the focus groups as well as note-taking the focus groups, and myself and the assistant project coordinator sat in really as observers.
As a moderator, my job was to ask questions, kind of interview everybody as a group around the transition to injection drug use. My first time doing a focus group, and that time I even felt like afraid for myself because it was so curious. It was their lifestyle and the whole drug scene, everything. I had to have a real serious debrief session after that because I felt like an at-risk youth myself. After leading the first focus group, I felt more confident in doing it.
I think just in terms of them for challenges was not really knowing what to expect in the focus group.
In the training sessions, we got a lot of training around, we need to be non-judgmental. And then someone judged me, so I was like, well, I was not ready for that.
When we first started coding with the youth, some of the youth didn't have a lot of difficulty at all. They understood the concept and they were able to code the quotes quite easily, but others had a lot of difficulty. And it was necessary to work with them more closely. I think it built a lot of their confidence to realize that not just people who go to school for years and years can actually participate in research.
The research team got together and we all we did individual coding of quotes from the transcripts of the focus groups, and then we put them on a poster board and we all came together and grouped the similar ones. People came up to me afterwards. Nurses from the STD center upstairs came down just to check out what we were doing, and they couldn't believe that we were coding. They spoke about their frustration with it in university. It was really, really empowering to us, because to say that you can do something that a university trained person can do makes you feel good.
Did was we had two fundraisers, one which was a silent auction, which was DJ'd by me, and another one was a drag performance. I did the Canadian Public Health Association conference in Toronto. We got to see the room beforehand, and we took our scripts and we practiced it like in the room that we were actually supposed to do. And then when we got to our hotel room, we practiced at least half a dozen times, and so it was fresh in our minds for the next day. It was also empowering to be around all these successful people into the medical, and still like to see that people still are caring, and that it's a big deal in our nation right now.
Project kind of makes us a bit wiser on what kind of lifestyle we could lead if we take that path.
More confident about myself. I'm more punctual. Before I wouldn't show up to anything, but now I'm actually making a 110% effort to come here.
I know more about rights, now I know about qualitative research.
I never thought, of being an experiential youth or making bad choices would have a positive consequence. Really?
Has helped me in a lot of ways to sort of test my boundaries.
It's really great to see how they became empowered, how they became advocates for themselves.
I learned a lot about what it means to commit to something.
They were teaching us as much as we were teaching them, I think.
Makes me hopeful for research in the future, that increasingly experiential researchers will be used, and research will therefore become more valid and much more relevant.
There's a lot of talk about how difficult it is to engage in participatory research, and it definitely is. But after participating in this project and seeing the changes that it has done to my life and the life of the youth, I realized that it's definitely worth it, and we have to continue to engage in this sort of process and understand more and more about it.
Empowerment, compassion,
Growth, family, opportunity.
Community.
It's new, it's fresh.
Empowerment.
We've all been places that we shouldn't have been, but yet we still come together and get our jobs done.